an interesting angle, I think, to the political discourse at the moment is the strained relationship that people on the left have with God and faith, and this almost antagonistic relationship with religion and belief, certain religions. What do you make of that? How do you sort of see?
I have a whole chapter in my book on this exactly. And in that, you know, I talk about how and refer to, once again, the history of the Democratic Party and how it really has grown as of late, where it was once a party that there was no aversion to mention of God. And this was the party that I joined. It was a more inclusive party. It welcomed people from all different religious backgrounds and faiths and different beliefs. To now fast forward to, and it was something that happened over time. I mean, Jimmy Carter was an evangelical Christian, and even when he was elected president, there were some people around him who were just like, oh, I don't know if this is like too much. And this is something that has increased over time to where in the last Democratic convention that was held, obviously it was held virtually during the whole COVID thing, but even saying the Pledge of Allegiance, they made a big show of eliminating, saying one nation, awkward silence, refused to say under God. Wow,
I didn't know that.
Even as they said the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, interesting.
Over Zoom. So, you know, seeing how today's Democratic Party is, you know, they are targeting Catholics and Christians primarily, trying to eliminate like God, really any mention of God from every facet of public life. You had Kamala Harris when she was a senator on the Judiciary Committee, going after and attacking and ultimately opposing a nominee for a judgeship, specifically because he was an observant and devout Catholic and a member of the Knights of Columbus.
What is that?
The Knights of Columbus.
It
is an all-male organization. I don't think it's not governed. I don't know if it's governed by the Catholic Church, but it is a Catholic organization.
Knights of Columbus.
And
that sounds cool.
It does sound cool.
Way cooler than me and my friends.
But it's a community. It's a community like service-oriented organization. They go and do good things in the community essentially. But it is centered around a very a Catholic system.
Should give it a less intimidating
beliefs.
name. It sounds Masonic and dangerous and spooky.
They did the same thing with Amy Coney Barrett, who's now in the Supreme Court, with now since passed away, but Senator Dianne Feinstein warned against her when she went for confirmation before the same Judiciary Committee, saying, I'm concerned the dogma lives loudly within you. All of these things going against our Constitution, which says there shall be no religious test to serve in any public office, period. And it unfortunately, it goes against kind of the whole concept of freedom of religion, you can have your beliefs. You can be atheist, agnostic, Christian, Buddhist, Hindu, whatever your choice is. That is literally the concept of freedom. Is not that you're not allowed to practice your religion in public and it's got to be just a private thing. You can do what you want.
Where's this come from? Is this a contamination zone from trying to maybe upend some of the history of the United States? Is it that the sort of love of country and patriotism is right coded, and so is maybe religious participation right coded? And if we're not that, then it means that we're the I don't understand. Given that there's so many Americans who are religious, Christian. It just seems like you're shooting yourself in the foot and the face. Why would you do that?
A lot of the things that they're pushing fall into that category because they don't make sense, and they're so insanely radical that that there are very negative consequences to those policies, just at a basic human level. We talked about some of them already. Ultimately at its heart, and again, I don't find any logic or rationale to the actual reasonings that they're giving. But at its heart, when you have a party that is controlled by people who don't believe in objective truth, that there are, for example, that there are biological differences between men and women, that they want to be the authority that tells us what is true and what is not true. They want to be the authority that tells us what is acceptable information, what is not, misinformation, disinformation, hate speech, violent speech, acceptable speech, whatever the case may be. They see themselves as that authority, and they recognize that those who believe in a higher power, whatever that may be, are not going to buy into them being that higher power or that authority and the ultimate, influencer that people should be concerned with. And so at its core, that is where this is coming from. It comes back to power and them seeing those who believe in God or who are following their particular spiritual path or faith as not being willing to bend the knee to the power of the Democrat elite and the positions that they hold in our government.
So there's a story about William Tyndale, who was a scholar and linguist. He was the first person to translate the Bible into common English from the original Hebrew and Greek. And what you had when you went to Mass was a conduit between you and the priest. So if you, me and you are common peasants, and we go on Sunday to church service, our relationship with God is mediated through the priest. And because the Bible is not written in the common language, we have to go. So they've kind of centralized power in this one forcing point in the middle, which is the one person that can actually read it. And that William Tyndale was persecuted for doing that, because then the relationship had become completely decentralized. Right. It was totally accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel if what you're saying is right, it doesn't feel like that's too dissimilar. That, if you are able to get your meaning and your trust from somebody
through a direct personal relationship with God
that
versus,
is not daddy government, then maybe you don't need us so much. And it's so, if this stuff's true, and I'm too green behind the ears in this country to actually be able to sort of contextualize much of it, it's so unsophisticated and infantile. It's so unimpressive that the people that run the forefront of culture, the country that's behind the economic engine and all the rest of this stuff, America coughs, everyone else catches a cold, all of this, that these people are actually really unsophisticated and stupid, and they don't understand second or third order consequences. They don't.
Or do they? They're not even trying.
How?
Which makes it even worse, in my view.
Right.
If you've got someone who's
the respect to be competent.
to just try, do the work, try to figure this out. And look, we're all human. You might make a mistake. You might make a wrong decision. Got it. But these are people who aren't even. They don't care enough. And this is the most disheartening and the most dangerous part. They don't even care enough to make that effort.